This is Sayyid Yasser, and this is Voices of Power, where like minded people like me and Ahmed Bhai, we come here, we speak, entrepreneurs, visionaries, politicians, leaders. We share our stories and we get to know about each other's struggles. And we have Ahmed Bhai here with us today.
Hey everyone, my name is Ahmed. Today we're honored to have our guest, the founders of iDrive, a youth organization that has been making waves throughout the community. Fawad and Amina, we're glad to have you on the show. So
Appreciate it.
we're excited to share your story.
Thank you.
So I wanted to start off as childhood, growing up and everything like that. What was it that made you fall in love with sports?
So I grew up here in Chicago, and most people that grew up here in the time that I grew up in the 90s, basketball was everything. Michael Jordan winning 6 championships. So that's really where I fell in love with basketball. I remember watching the Bulls as early as me being 3 years old. And I mean, everybody I knew, regardless of, I'm from an immigrant household, and people I grew up around, not even from here, everybody watched the Bulls. We were locked in. So that's really where it started for me.
Yeah. What are you gonna? So
No.
for me, it started when I was a little kid. My parents immigrated here too from Nigeria. Came for school, so we were in a smaller community, and they stayed on campus. So there's a lot of little kids around, and we used to always be outside, primarily playing soccer. My father loved soccer, so was always doing that. So that's, I'd say, how I started and fell in love with sports.
So, moving on, as you grew older and everything like that, what drove you? I know you're a little bit about your story and stuff. So both of you guys did play in high school and college, if I'm correct. Is that right?
Hmm.
Can you go into that in a bit more detail?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. I mean, for me as a kid, I wanted to be Michael Jordan, like most kids in Chicago. I wanted at that time when I was young, there was no WNBA, so I was that girl that used to walk around with the ball, telling everyone that I'm going to be the first girl in the NBA. From that point on, I mean, it was just a love for the sport, and the more I got to play, the more I got into it. As I grew up, there were times where I didn't make teams that I tried out for, and then other times where I had a lot of success. For me, it was about the passion. So regardless, you wouldn't find me not playing basketball.
Mm. Yeah, for me, it was all over the place. So I always loved sports. Thrived in it a little bit. I started doing the Park District stuff, and then through Park District basketball, somebody saw me playing and then asked for me to play on his travel team. So that's how I got into the travel ball. I just loved playing. So when I was younger in middle school, I was always on the B teams because I was never really big on the circuit. My parents really couldn't afford to put us out, into a whole bunch of different programs. So it was whoever, I was the kid that was oh yeah, this is I don't know, the scholarship kid, right, on the team kind of, which was fine. So I did have some opportunities there. And then when I got to ninth grade, I wanted to play football. I played for fun with my friends, just in the backyard. Told my parents, hey, I want to play football. And they were like, man, that's a crazy sport. You mean the sport where the people put the things on their head? And I'm like, yeah. And they were like, no way, no way, no way. I ended up playing my freshman year, and the freshman coach said, man, you're pretty good. You should continue. So I was like, I don't know. But I ended up continuing. And then as soon as a few college coaches showed interest, then my parents were like, go outside, work out, go play football, the game that we didn't know about. And so it was actually interesting to see. My mother, she was a lady at games. She would have a Walkman on because she didn't understand the game. So she would have a Walkman on listening to the game on the radio while she was watching. And that's how she kind of learned about football and what, first down, second down, and all that type of stuff was.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, what was there's always a turning point in your life, there's always something that happens that drives you towards building something. So what was that point in your lives to start iDrive?
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, talk
There's
about
always
the
a
story.
story. There's
It's a story. And
Yeah.
I think it's a beautiful story because it kind of happened organically. It wasn't
Yeah.
something that was forced or anything like that. You know, so actually, I was just moved to this area. We moved from Missouri, was in Lombard for about a year and a half. Just moved to this area, and my kids were all soccer as well, and they were like, "Baba, we want to hoop." Like, yes, you know, I love basketball. It's like my first love. And then so I said, okay, where can we go? There's a masjid. The masjid had a gym. So I went online to figure out the calendar because I saw there was like, you know, bookings and stuff. And then I saw elementary basketball. There was a number attached to it. So I don't know if I texted or I think I called and said like, you know, what is the program? What's going on? I see elementary basketball. And she said, so it was Sister Amina who picked up the phone, and she was like, you know, so alaikum assalam. She was like, you know, I used to live in this area, and I just booked the gym because I'm just going to go in there and have my kids, you know, just train them and shoot around and stuff. So I was like, okay, can I bring my kids? And she was like, well, you know, are you going to stay? If you're not going to stay, then I need you to sign a waiver. And I'm like, oh, okay. I said, no, I'm going to stay. It's fine. You know, can I use the other side? She was like, yeah, that's fine. And then, you know, I came there, we talked briefly, and then we kind of did our own things. And then she came back over to me. She was like, I think you kind of look like you know what you're doing. And then that's when she struck up the conversation and kind of brought up some of the things that you did in the past for the community.
Yeah, so I had a really successful program in the past. I actually got into coaching in the Muslim community because for me, as I got older, the more I got into my deen, I kind of lost basketball. The more I started to find things that mattered. I wasn't always practicing this way when I was younger. So in college, you know, I started to learn a lot of things. I started to change in a lot of ways. And one of the hardest things was trying to find women who played basketball and Muslim women that I could hang out with, but also do, you know, the one thing that I love to do more than anything else. So when I would meet a lot of women in college, you know, some of them, they had played when they were younger. They played maybe at some Islamic schools, and they could play, but I could just see where there was a difference between the way they played and the people that I was used to playing with, you know?
Yeah.
So that's when I realized
In what sense, like professional?
Athletically, yeah,
okay.
and understanding the game,
Yeah.
different concepts they just weren't familiar with. So for me, I knew that Muslim women had the potential, you know, to play at that level. They didn't have the coaching, they didn't have the resources in a lot of our Muslim programs, a lot of the local Islamic schools. And then in public schools, you don't, at that time, you didn't see a lot of Muslim women participating, you know?
Yeah.
So for me,
that makes sense. Yeah.
at about 12, 13 years ago was when I first lived in Naperville, and I had started a program in the masjid. And there was a brother there, and he was doing this basketball thing with the boys 2 days a week. So I kind of jumped on and started coaching girls 2 days a week, and it was very successful. Alhamdulillah. And then I ended up moving out of Naperville. So, you know, where Fuad's story started is kind of when I moved back. So my kids, they started, Mom, can you coach us in basketball? You're a basketball coach, kind of the same way. I was like, you know, I used to do this. Let's go to the same masjid where I used to run this program, and I'll coach you guys. So I'm coaching them. Fuad comes one day, and I saw him, and I'm like, you know, we could do this again. What I had this whole program going a long time ago. So I told him about my background. He told me a little bit about his background, and we were like, you know, let's do this. Let's coach these kids. We were only coaching our own kids in the beginning, and really whoever would show up. So that masjid time I had booked, it was kind of like if someone shows up, like he tried to. He was actually the only parent that ever reached out and tried. I was going to have them sign a waiver, because a lot of times parents will just drop off their kids and leave, and whether or not the kids care or don't care. I wanted a proper program, you know. So other kids were showing up week to week when they started seeing us coaching our kids. Kids use that gym a lot to just play. And it ended up organically, like he said, becoming a camp where I'm working with the little boys over here. And then there's like some middle high school boys coming. And so he starts working with them just because they're a little bigger. And, you know, we're in the masjid. And from that, it was almost summertime. I was like, you know, we should do a skills camp. These kids seem interested. Let's see. Maybe some more kids will come out. And
they came out.
When I say 0 to 100, people love to say 0 to 100. This was 0 to 100. I mean, we were full from day one.
Started from a phone call.
Yeah,
Mashallah,
Started,
yeah.
mashallah.
yeah.
That's a
And
great
it started
story.
started in the
Yeah.
masjid, which
Yeah,
is kind of the
mashallah.
most important piece
Yes.
to
Subhanallah,
me.
yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and and that's the beauty, when you think about our dean, right?
Yeah.
It'll bring people together that, man, you never would have, like, without
Yeah.
us being Muslim and sharing this deen, we probably never would have met, right? And that always goes back, and Emin and I always talk about it, there's an ayah in the Quran, that talks about I made you of different nations and tribes,
Yeah.
to get to know one another,
Yeah.
So having that, it's like we're all connected,
Yeah.
at a baseline. And then this is one more piece that helps to bring us all together.
Yeah.
So, yeah, alhamdulillah, it's beautiful,
Yeah.
and,
Alhamdulillah.
and,
Alhamdulillah.
and, I know I'm thankful, for the opportunities to meet, new people within the community.
Yeah.
So it's really been a blessing.
And this
Yeah.
was something really great what you guys started, because it's a lot of the times our kids they don't get that opportunity, and like you
Right.
said, the women, the little girls, they don't really get into basketball and sports as much. So getting them here, that is mashallah, mashallah. It's great work,
Yeah.
mashallah.
So I wanted to ask him. I know, like, the focus of iDrive is really basketball, but the missions also, you have, faith-based a mission to bring the youth together. So can you talk a little bit, expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, so I think that is actually the primary goal, right? And I think
Yeah,
the
so
primary goal.
we
so-
really are iDrive Faith and Athletics. That FA
Mhm.
piece is pretty important to our name. The iDrive kind of plays off of basketball, but that FA Faith and Athletics is kind of where we're always at, is trying to connect the two.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no. So I was gonna say, I think that's our primary focus, right? Is to really bring the community together, have the young Muslim boys and girls, get to know one another, form bonds of brotherhood and sisterhood, and create lasting friendships, lifelong friendships, and to be able to share that within the community. A lot of times when you think of the masjid, it's more of like, hey, you're just going for school, right? But here in the States, I think we look at it a little bit differently, and we have it as a whole community center, right? Where you can do, you hold the weddings, you hold different activities, you hold talks, you hold education, you hold athletic stuff, right? And so this is one piece that we're able to, alhamdulillah, provide to the community to really bring people together. So I think that's one of the bigger, I'd say, goals. And then, like she said, with the athletics, teaching our kids, especially now when you look at society, as far as like being healthy, physically, mentally, emotionally, all of that. And you think about some of the challenges that our youth go through, and we want to be there to be able to help them work through some of those things, right? It's always good, again, to have multiple people that you can reach out to outside of just mom and dad, right? That you can look up to. And so we want to be there for the youth as well, as mentors, as people, confidants, people that you can reach out to if you're going through issues, and try to help them navigate some of the things that they're going through.
And yeah, the whole part about camaraderie, that we
Yes.
build in kids, that young, and the community coming together, and that's possible with sports, because you never see whole families, whole communities sitting and cheering for a team or a particular sportsman in any other industry. So I think
True.
sports was a great way to go. Mashallah,
Yeah,
mashallah. Yeah.
alhamdulillah.
Yeah, sports
Yeah.
definitely unites people.
It does.
It
It
does.
does.
Mhm.
Even very different people
Yeah.
who don't get along,
Yeah.
in other places,
Yes.
they can definitely be united through sports.
Yes,
Mhm.
definitely. Definitely.
So, so tell us, like, what, if I remember correctly, you guys, started back in 2022. So now it's been 3 years. So, like, what are, some obstacles and struggles that you guys have faced in the last over the last 3 years?
I mean, number one, I would say just trying to figure things out. I don't know how many times we have conversations. We're like, man, okay, what are we supposed to do next? I don't know, but let's figure it out. And then it seems like literally when we get to that point where you're supposed to do next, Allah brings somebody, and it's like, this is the next step, right? So that has been a blessing as well, because literally I think that's one of the challenges, is just not knowing the industry, as far as like the business aspect of it. but I mean, we're working through it, and we're figuring things out as we go along, and learning a lot, along the way as well. So it's been very educational for I think both of us as well.
I think when your niyyah is right, Allah shows you the way, where to go,
Yeah.
how to go, and He just opens doors where
Yeah.
you cannot imagine. It's just you like, wow, this is a miracle, mashallah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He gives you so much barakah when you do something for the entire community, and I've noticed that in so many businesses
Yeah.
and in a lot of people as well,
Yeah.
mashallah.
Maybe Amina could talk about some of our, I know, facilities and.
Yeah, facilities are tough. When we started this, it was kind of just a skills camp in the masjid, and we did a summer camp, and it was full. It was, and at that time, kind of like how we're just figuring stuff out as we go. We didn't really know how many kids can we take, how many kids can we handle coaching together. We didn't know what we'd do with kids who didn't get in. Like, now we have things in place like wait lists, or
Yeah.
we'll always have like an upcoming program we can route people to if they don't get into a program.
Mhm.
But in the beginning, I mean, we just had really no plan. I was like, I can teach basketball, you can teach basketball, and here's a basketball class, right? Splitting the divisions, just like different age groups. We've worked with preschoolers, and we worked with college level players. So like everything in between. So all different age groups. So it's kind of just always figuring something out. It's the business side has been tough for both of us because none of us have a background in that. Very quickly, we became a lot of roles. We started this thinking we're going to just be coaches, and now there isn't a role we're not doing.
Mashallah, yeah.
And then finding a facility is kind of one of the biggest things when it comes to programming. So a lot of our community is always like, when's the next program? Or if they didn't get into this program that's full, what else can you put out there for us? And we don't have a facility that we call home. We kind of just rent wherever we can find an opening.
Yeah.
All of our programming is based off of off times when gyms are actually available. So kind of weird timing sometimes.
It's actually a great model because you're not landlocked, right? So you can be anywhere.
We can be anywhere,
so
yeah.
that-
But it gets
that's a
hard
blessing.
to find the places sometimes.
Yeah.
I know.
Being anywhere.
I know, yeah.
They're pretty
understand.
booked. We live we're in a city that most of what happens is indoors
Yes.
for most of the year.
Yeah.
So there's very little time that we can even do anything that doesn't
Yeah,
need to be
yeah.
inside of a building.
Yeah.
So that's
So
been a
and
big
to
barrier.
piggyback, or to follow up with that, so like after our first camp, I think we did it over a 2-month period, different camps. We had over 300 kids, I want to say, participate.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
And then so we were done,
Yeah.
and we are just like, yeah, this is a one-time thing. It was successful. It was good. And then
Yeah, there was no iDrive yet. It was
Yeah,
just
there
like
was no
a summer
iDrive.
skills camp.
yes.
Yeah.
And then literally parents were like, so when is the next one? When are you guys doing the next activity? And we kind of looked at each other like, the next one? We don't plan on doing another one. This was kind of a one-time deal. And then we were like, well, there's a need within the community that needs to be filled. Okay, let's try to do another one. And then that's when we started finding like, oh man, there are really no facilities. It's hard to get a facility. So I think we went to Naperville Athletic Center when they still had it and did one there. And then we tried to use another facility, and then they were like, do you have insurance? We're like, what do we need that for? And it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So it's like, okay, we got to get insurance. Okay, what else do we need? Okay, we need to get equipment now because now we're on the move and not just doing it at one location. So, as time went on, we started to learn, but I would say though, that was a challenge that's now turned into a strength, I believe. And then I'd say our biggest challenge now is just finding a place and having the facility at the times that we need to utilize them, as well.
Yeah.
Like she said, we have to do a lot of off-peak hours, so sometimes our hours are a little bit off, a little bit weird, but
Yeah.
but alhamdulillah, we make it work.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah,
Alhamdulillah.
it still works out pretty good.
Alhamdulillah.
We still do work with a community that a lot of the parents or family members didn't grow up here. And many of them that didn't participate in sports. So we still deal with like families and parents not always understanding the commitment levels that it takes to
Yeah,
participate. Sometimes they might feel like, it's a little too much, too many rides, too many far places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of another thing that we
Yeah.
continue to see. with the kids really developing and now playing in so many other places, even outside of iDrive,
Yeah.
I think the families are starting to learn it.
Yes, yes.
But we're kind of still in the middle of, parents like us who grew up here, participated in these things, or even if they didn't, they understood what it took for the kids that did. And then we still have the families that didn't. So that can kind of be an obstacle sometimes too.
Yeah, I think with the people, immigrants that just moved here, it's more like for the parents. They're hustling. They're doing a lot of hard work. So they don't understand how important it is for their kids to go to these events, to meet other people, to play sports.
Yeah.
They don't get it. So
Yeah, and sometimes it's tough for them
it's
too.
tough, yes.
Even if they do, it's a busy lifestyle here,
It
right?
is.
So,
It
Yeah.
is.
alhamdulillah, we're
100%.
both parents, so we do have a lot of insight.
Yeah.
It helps to know, like, sometimes moms will come up
Yeah.
to me and be like, I got this. I'm like, I got it. I'm a mom too, like I understand. So
I wouldn't know. I'm no
yeah,
kid.
yeah, you don't have any kids, so it's a busy lifestyle here. Everybody
Yeah.
works.
100%.
Everybody has kids, and they're trying to manage it all. But
Yeah.
we do see that as an obstacle sometimes.
Yes.
Um,
It'll make it easy for everyone.
I mean, the other piece is really trying to connect and help the parents understand that it's not just a game, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
It's not
I want the
just-
kids to always understand. I say this to them all the time. It's
Yeah.
just a game,
Mhm.
because they get so down and they get
Yeah.
so pressured. And
Yeah.
it is just a game, but the lessons in this game and in any of these games in sports translate to real life.
They do. Yes.
So that's another thing that I'm really trying to get out there to a lot of the parents, that they might be like, but they have all these honors classes, and mashallah, our community does well,
mashallah,
right?
it
Yes.
does.
Honors classes and homework and this and that.
Yeah.
But this gives them so many more tools to be successful even in that
Yes,
part of their
totally.
life. And that's another thing that I think parents are starting to see it more and more
Yeah,
now, especially in the girls. You see a different
Yeah.
level of confidence with girls that are athletes.
Yeah.
Um,
It builds a lot of character.
Definitely.
Sports.
Character and
Any
yeah.
kind of sports.
Yep, all of
That's
that,
right.
all of those life skills.
Yes,
And then,
yes.
like Fuad was saying earlier, the health aspect,
Health
the physical
aspect,
health, the
yes.
mental health,
Yeah.
building
It's
habits.
enough to be fit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you don't build these habits as a kid, I mean, who really starts working out as a grown up? Right? So
Yeah.
you rarely see that. And people can, but
Yeah.
it's so rare. But
It
when
is.
you've been doing something your whole life, even when you get busy later in life, even when you have
Yeah,
kids,
yeah.
even when you have a job, that is always a part of you somehow.
Yeah.
Just like basketball has never left us, right?
Yeah.
Going to the gym, it's a part of our life.
Yeah.
Where other people that didn't grow up that way, it's a whole thing. They got to think about, how am I going to
Yeah.
do this?
You gotta teach them early, like
Yeah.
it teaches you hard work, and that goes with you for the rest of your life, and
Yeah.
it comes in handy.
So it's actually interesting, because I've started to like look at my kids, and you see other kids, and like kids will do gymnastics at a young age, and so like maybe 3 days ago I read an article, and it was saying that kids that are active at a younger age, like you'll see them even when they get older, they may not do much, but they're a little bit more fit
Yes.
because at a younger age they built like the framework of their
Yes.
body and the muscle tone and everything at such a young age, and that stays with them
Yeah.
throughout their life. It's kind of like if you have a canvas and you're drawing a painting or something, right, and those first bases that you're putting together, that's going to be the foundation that
Yeah.
really pops at the end.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really interesting, and I'm like, okay, I
And
gotta
it's
do
not
more with my
just the
kids now.
physical aspect; it's the mental
Yeah,
aspect as well. Like it
definitely.
makes you strong mentally,
Definitely.
and it gives you perseverance. It gives you the ability to not give up and just
Definitely.
keep striving. And I think that's one of the most important lessons any kid could learn.
Okay. All right. So I know we just covered some of the struggles and issues that you guys faced and everything, but in the last 3 years, seem on the opposite hand, where achievements and successes that you've seen. Like, can you discuss that and go into that a little bit?
Yeah. As far as achievements, I would say some of the biggest achievements that I'd say is number one, families and kids would have never known each other if it wasn't for our programs, right? So they come to our programs, and it even becomes more of like a family community event, to where we're like, little kids with strollers and stuff are running on the court, and we're like, hey, you guys got to stay off. You know, but it's amazing to see, because some facilities that we've even tried to utilize, there's no way it could even handle us, just from the families that come and attend. So, you know, like when we use the Yola, you know, there was no room to even do the program, because there were so many, you know, parents,
Spectators,
siblings,
yeah.
you know, that were there. So I would say that's one. Number two, I would
And
say,
real quick,
yeah, go ahead.
the same people that have seen each other in other parts of our community. So people have come up to me and said, you know, just one example, a bunch of Girl Scouts moms. Their girls were in Girl Scouts together, and the girls were really never friends. The moms were never really friends. There's a whole group of them who've kind of become inseparable. And the moms have told me, like, we saw each other at Girl Scouts. It was through the masjid. We saw each other all the time. We knew each other. But they've built like a deep level of connection now
Inshallah.
through this. So
Yeah. And so number two, the biggest success I would say is really for our young girls and young sisters. I mean, I was ecstatic. I know Amina was, when we heard that a lot of the girls, when they started with us, they really couldn't even dribble, you know, and then now they are making their middle school teams, you know, and
Wow.
Girls-
finding success in that as well, you know, and being part of a team where others are even counting on them, you know, to have success. So we've seen confidence. You know, there's some girls that we met, they probably wouldn't say two words, very quiet, shy. And then now, you know, they're comfortable, confident. And so I think that's a
girls
huge
that
success.
showed up to play basketball because someone put this program out in the masjid, not necessarily because they care about basketball at all. We could have put any sport program in the world. These were kids who just showed up because it was a program in the masjid, right? So their parents said, hey, here's a summer thing, let's sign them up. I've met girls who didn't even care in the beginning. And now, I mean, they hit me up privately. Coach Amina, I got to train. When can I meet you? You know, just always looking to put more work in. And a big number of those girls were the girls that Fuad was talking about that, like last year, for example, it was kind of the first year where a lot of the girls we started with around like 4th, 5th grade had a chance to try out for a public school team, because that starts in 7th grade. And a huge number made the team. And from that, we had girls who didn't care at all about basketball when they started. You know, we had girls who maybe were a little athletic, had never played before, some interest, but yeah, seeing that side of it, that's been huge.
That is an achievement, mashallah,
Yeah.
mashallah. It's
Alhamdulillah.
much more than the numbers and everything. It's great, mashallah.
Even just that they went and tried out for those
Yeah.
middle school teams
Yeah.
was a big deal to
Mashallah.
us, because a couple years ago where they started, they couldn't dribble, they couldn't, and they really didn't care, some of them. They weren't really there for the basketball, and now it leads with the basketball.
Mashallah, mashallah.
100%. You know, it's amazing to see the development and everything. I myself have three daughters, and all three of them have been involved with iDrive, and I've noticed a dramatic change and everything like that. They come home, at least during the warm months and everything, they'll shoot around and everything like that, and keep on pushing them. Because these are you know, opportunities that we as youth, like, you know, first generation in the U.S., we didn't have these opportunities because our parents wanted us to become professionals and everything like that. Although we love the game, but we had to be a professional. We had to become a doctor, lawyer, engineer, or something like that, professional, so, you know, we could stand on our feet. But these kids, you know, they have to understand that this is, you know, opportunities that they have, and they should not take this for granted. And same thing for parents that have migrated over here and stuff like that. Sports is very important. It brings, you know, communities together, brings people together. So don't just take this for granted. It's, you know, what these guys are doing is amazing work and everything like that. So listen to them, and you know, put them in these programs that they have ongoing.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to see it with the boys, too. We've had a lot of success with boys. We've had them come and develop a long way.
Yeah.
But it's just a little different with the girls because, like, boys, they just figure it out. You know, everybody on the court's a boy.
Yeah.
They're going to go play everything that the other boys are doing.
Yeah.
With a lot of these girls, they would have never even stepped on a basketball floor and
That's
picked
true.
up a basketball if it wasn't for this program that was designed for them in the masjid. And now, like Ahmed's daughters, for example, they'll shoot around at home. Like, would they have ever done that before iDrive? You know, before they were participating in iDrive? They were some of those girls that they didn't really show up for the basketball, right?
Yeah.
They showed up more for
Friends.
the friends and the community, and now it does lead with the basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Even like a lot of parents, especially Desi parents, they don't push their daughters towards sports, which I've noticed, and it's a good thing, mashallah.
We've seen that too.
Yeah.
You know, we've
Yeah.
seen the parents that will bring the kids and sign them up, and we'll see a girl and she'll just be athletic, and you know,
Yeah.
but our eyes light up because we know her potential,
Mashallah.
and the parents will only be talking about the son, like,
Yeah.
oh, she's
Yeah.
just here, but my son, and we're like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
daughter has,
Yeah.
you know, so,
Yeah, that's
some
been
real
changing
footwork or
for
some real
time,
coordination.
mashallah.
Yeah,
it's,
so
it's a good change.
we
Yeah.
see it, we see that too. But
Yeah.
alhamdulillah, I mean, there's been so many women in
Alhamdulillah.
our Muslim community that have helped to propel sports forward, and I think, you know, even them just being in the public eye, and then again, a lot of parents like us who are like, my girls could do it just as much as the boys could do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, inshallah. More power to our girls.
Yeah.
Inshallah.
Yeah.
So I wanted to switch the topic. So now, like, wanted to discuss, the current and like future programming that you guys have offering the youth and stuff like that. Can you talk a little bit about what you have going on currently and what you're looking to do in the future?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have one of our biggest programs is our in-house league. So it's a recreational league. When we first started, we were running it 3 seasons per year. And then kind of just the needs of our community. Ramadan started to fall like right in the middle of one of our seasons, and we know what it's like during Ramadan. So at that point, we were running it twice a year. But that's definitely our biggest program. We run a seasonal league where we get about 160, 170 kids, sometimes more, to come out and play. Boys and girls, 1st to 12th grade. And we do weekly games. In the past, we used to do weekly practices with the weekly games, and just with facility issues, it's been hard to find time for those practices, which we really value. Fuad and I, we would do a lot more practices than games if it was up to us. But we do have our fall league upcoming, so that's open now on our website. Parents can go there and register. Like I said, boys and girls, 1st grade to 12th grade, so we take
Inshallah,
pretty much
inshallah.
everybody in that program.
Inshallah.
That one's up now. This upcoming weekend, we have a 3v3 tournament that we partnered with a couple other organizations. We're going to be running that at ISNA. So that should be a fun experience.
Yeah, it's not coming up.
ISNA's coming up. Yeah, it gives the kids something
Very
to
sad
do
for-
outside of, roaming.
Yeah.
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 And we're gonna try to have some fun competitions. Individual competitions.
Inshallah, inshallah.
At the ISNA conference as well.
For the
so-
whole community.
Yeah,
So for everybody. Everybody come find us at ISNA.
Yes.
We've done a couple travel teams in the past. We've done boys and girls now at this
Yep.
point.
Yeah.
So we're looking to grow that program as well. Again, the biggest obstacle with that is the facility.
Yeah.
Those travel programs require so much practice time. So during travel seasons, all of the facilities are pretty much booked with their own programs.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
as we can try to find some facility space, inshallah, we'll have some opportunities coming up for girls and boys to participate in practices and tournaments.
Inshallah, may Allah make it easy for you guys.
Ameen.
And
Ameen.
100% you're going to find a facility.
Yeah.
Inshallah.
Appreciate it.
Inshallah.
Ameen.
Inshallah. Inshallah.
So as we get closer to wrapping up and everything like that, what's the message that you guys have for our parents and youth and in our community? Inspirational? What message would you like to give to our community?
I mean, a personal message is, try to be consistent, in any and everything that you do, right? Because those consistent actions are the ones that are most, loved by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So it's like a person working out, right? If you do it every once in a while, you're not going to see the gains and the benefit. But then if you do it every single day, even if it's 10, 15 minutes a day, you'll start to see the results, after time. So that's a tangible thing that you can actually see. But if you could do that in any and everything that you are passionate about or anything that's important to you, then, you'll definitely find that success. So I would say that's the biggest message that I would say just to put out there to everybody. And again, like our programs, we're doing the programs for the community. So you want to invite any and everybody who has participated, who hasn't, and is just learning about us. Please come find us, come check us out. Amina and I really care about the kids and care about the families and we care about really what's best for you as an individual, right? Business aside, all that aside, that's we care about the kids and the individuals first, over everything else. So, don't let anything stop you from reaching out to us and joining and participating in our programs.
You know, everything you do in life, like, just know what you stand on, what you believe in. Lead with the dean. I think that's kind of the most important piece. With iDrive, a lot of times we say, like, what drives you, and I think it's really important to be driven by our dean, on the path of our dean, and everything you do in life, it can come right back to that, even in sports, So the same thing with consistency and discipline and just so many things that are such a critical part of our dean translates to everything else in your life.
100%.
So
Mashallah,
that'll be
that
my
was
message.
powerful.
Oh,
So powerful, you guys. Mashallah.
Thank you.
What's a message you have for parents? That was for kids. Now, what's something you would like to say to parents?
So go ahead if you have.
So I would just say, support your kids in whatever it is they want to do. I think that's huge. I think it's really important to hear them and see them for who they are.
Yeah.
I was never pushed into playing basketball. I see kids who are. I see kids who are pushed into other things that maybe that's not who they are.
Yeah.
I've only gotten to where I've gotten in my life because I was allowed to be myself. I was allowed to explore what I was interested in.
Inshallah.
And then one other side note, I love to say this to parents. I don't know how much it gets through, but I see this all the time. Fuad and I have talked so much about sports psychology, bringing a sports psychologist into our program, someone qualified.
Yeah.
Don't talk to your kids about the game on the way home. That's just one piece. When your kid plays with us, at school, with another program, cheer for them, be their fan, be their supporter. That's what you're there for. You're not their coach. Maybe you know a whole lot about the game, about the sport, about what they did wrong. They don't need to hear it from you. They need a parent. So kind of just, know your role and stay in that role. It's really what the kids need. They come to us and we yell at them, we get on them, we say stuff to them, and then their teammates might be saying something to them, something happens in a game. They don't need to hear that on the car ride home.
Yeah.
They need to hear, hey, you worked hard, you went out there, you showed up, the positive things. If a kid wants to talk about it, but parents just
Busy
quiet
parents.
time.
Yeah.
Hope it
Any
gets through to them.
parents, yeah.
Yeah.
Any parents, just,
So-
don't talk about it.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. My message to the parents would be, be there for your kids. Kind of what Amina was saying, but be there in the sense of allowing your kids to come and express themselves to you. We live in a society that some of the values, maybe aren't in line with our deen, right?
Yeah.
They're going to see certain things. They may experience certain things. And listen to your kids. Try to understand where the position that they're in. I would say growing up here, has helped me, as a father, try to be as open as possible, within limit, right? And thinking of the age of my children, but to have, certain conversations to keep them on the right path. You got to be open to a certain extent with your kids, and you have to be eloquent in the way that you speak to them, right? So if you think about in the Quran how Allah tells us about relationship between like husband and wife, very eloquent in how it's put. It's not graphic or anything, very eloquent.
Yeah.
So when you're dealing with your kids, you should think about that in that same way, and just try to stay on top of things and just understand some of the challenges that they might be facing when they go out, and be able to listen to them and help them through handling some of the situations and the challenges that they may go through. So I know, like for an immigrant parent, it may be tough just because of the society that they grew up in, very rigid, saying like, no, they did this, drug, man, But here, you really have to listen to your kids, because if you don't, your kids will get the ear of somebody else,
Yes.
and that person may not guide them down the right path. So that's number one. And then number two, protect your environment. Know who your kids' friends are. Know who your kids' friends' parents are, and just be smart around who you put your kids around and who you expose them to. Because kids are like sponges, you know. I remember when I was new father, had a friend who was a new father too, and we were talking about something that his daughter did. He got home, he came in, sat on the couch, and he was like, "Man, I walked inside with my shoes." So he took his shoes off and just threw them towards the door. So then his daughter went, picked up some shoes, walked all the way to him, sat next to him, and then threw her shoes at the door. And he was like, "What are you doing?" You know what I'm saying? And then he stopped. He was like, "Oh man, I just did that." Right? And so like the things that we do, the people that we put them around, man, they're sponges at various ages, at every single age. They're always watching and seeing, oh, somebody yelled at this person. Okay, how did they respond? Somebody, you know, did something bad, hit this person. Okay, how did they respond? And they learn, and then they say, okay, this must be the appropriate way to respond to this situation. So I think it's very important, you know, the environment that you keep your kids around.
And that environment
That
piece.
was great advice.
It's
That
another.
was great advice, mashallah.
It's another place where we had an early conversation where iDrive started. So when Fuad and I were in the masjid in the very beginning and our kids were playing with each other in the masjid, we were talking about how our kids can go play anywhere. And they do, and they have. They've played a lot outside of our community.
Yes.
But seeing them doing that together in the masjid, we were like, this is just beautiful. You know, like we are trying to provide that environment
Inshallah.
that we want our kids to be in and we want our community to have and get to be in, inshallah.
Inshallah, inshallah.
And one thing, just to, you know, not to prolong it, but I mean, it's a different vibe when you see our kids get together versus when they're out with others.
Yeah.
It's
Definitely.
like natural, right? Like
Yeah.
if you haven't seen your family in a long time, and then you see your family, it's like, oh man, what's going on? I haven't seen you forever. You know, let's go over here and do this and that and this and that. You know, and it's like you see a real true brotherhood. I'll give you a story. So this past weekend, we took the kids and we put them in this 3-on-3 Bulls Fest. And then the funniest thing happened. So my son and her son, our younger sons, they were kind of playing, and then she said it to both of our sons, like, "Hey guys, stay here, don't run around, you know, like there's a lot of people here, so on and so forth," right? And then so for me, I'm like, yes, of course, my son heard that, you know, he's going to respect Coach Amina and be like, oh gosh, I got to be perfect, so on and so forth. And they were both like, okay. And literally 2 seconds later, they just take off chasing each other. I'm just
Through a
like,
crowd, like bumping people, just no respect for anybody.
you know, and so I'm like, oh man. And I'm looking at my son like, you didn't hear what Coach Amina just said? What's going on?
And I'm looking at my son like, you didn't hear what your mom just told you. Yeah.
You know, but again, like to them, like, you know, to me it showed like a brotherhood, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I see my two kids do that all the time if I say something, you know. So seeing that was like it was great to see, because that's what you're looking for, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So alhamdulillah, it was funny, but it wasn't funny, but it was funny, you know, at the same
funny
time.
now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mashallah, mashallah, that's amazing. May Allah give you guys a lot of barakah.
I
You
mean,
guys are doing amazing work,
I mean,
inshallah.
all of us. Yeah.
And thank you guys so much for, you know, being on our show. We're, you know, very honored to have you guys. And
Yeah.
it's just like Yasser said, like me, you know, Allah make your organization, iDrive, a success. To all those who are following and everything like that, we'll be happy to share the information so you guys can also join and attend their amazing organization, and how you can also help and make a difference. And thank you all for joining our show. Any
Inshallah,
closing comments
and
for
it
you?
was lovely having you there.
Yeah,
The
thank you
amount
for
of
having
insight.
us. Yeah, thank you for
Yeah,
having us.
seriously, Voices of
Yeah.
Power, that's huge.
Yeah,
Us,
yeah,
we're just basketball coaches.
Yeah.
Oh no, you guys are doing amazing work, mashallah.
Yeah,
What you're doing is powerful. You're bringing the community together. You're bringing kids together. You're teaching them a valuable lesson, and everything we spoke about today, I'm sure our audience has gotten a lot of value out of it, and they got to learn a lot of things. And alhamdulillah, it was amazing having you guys, and we look forward to having you again sometime,
Yeah.
inshallah.
Yeah, we'd love to be
Thank
back.
you so much for making the time.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It's a